the Qur'an itself does intercede for Muslims, or will, on the Day of Judgment. Right? The Qur'an will appear as a pale man and will say that he was the Muslim's companion in life and will intercede for him. Is that not correct?
Can you give me a reference for that?
That's in the Hadith.
Which hadith?
Seriously, you don't think I'm going to go back? I mean, like, I don't know.
Are you saying that's not in the Hadith?
That is not in any authentic hadith that I've ever read.
So you'd say it's not
authentic?
Oh, that's fine. If you say it's not authentic.
Hold on, take it easy. So, to say the Qur'an will appear as a pale man, and what did you say it would be with
the Qur'an will intercede for Muslims and will say that it
as
was,
a pale man?
Well, that's in a Tirmidhi hadith, for example.
Let's look.
I can look for it.
Let's look for it. No, hold on. Because see, I like to discuss on evidences. So, can I find a hadith in a Tirmidhi that says the Qur'an will be a pale man? Let's just find that, and then I will explain from there.
Okay, so, but that kind of misses the point that I'm making. You're focused on the pale man part, but I think you and I both know that it's classically Islamic to say the Qur'an will intercede.
So let me explain the shifa of the Qur'an?
Yeah, so explain that.
Excellent. The Qur'an is kalamullah.
You said. You told us that one.
That's part of the explanation.
Okay,
Take it
go
easy,
ahead.
Okay. The Qur'an that is read by us, when we read the Qur'an, that kalamullah will be an evidence for us. Do you understand what I mean? That the fact that we stayed up at night and read the Qur'an will make shifa. It will be an intercession. It will not be asking Allah for help or asking Allah separately than anything. It is only the fact that that good deed will be an intercession for you. Like if you had read the actual hadith, it talks about the Qur'an and another hadith about the siyam, the fasting. Right? We don't say fasting by itself is an entity, but it's the deed that is that intercedes for you.
So does the hadith say that the deed of reciting the Qur'an will intercede for you, or does the hadith say the Qur'an will intercede?
Again, so this is the thing. When you say al-Qur'an was siyam, these two will be shifa. They will be an intercession. Right? So what does that mean? That it is that deed of reading the Qur'an. Do you understand what that means now?
I understand what you're claiming. That's just not what the
So let's
hadith
see
says.
I searched for it. The first one that popped up, I know it's in Tirmidhi, but the first one that popped up was in Ibn Majah.
So in Tirmidhi, there is no such hadith that says the Qur'an.
There is. That's just the first one that popped up when I did.
Can we look at the Tirmidhi one first?
Okay, I'll find the
Tirmidhi.
But notice, the Ibn Majah version says the Quran will come on the day of resurrection like a pale man, and will say, "I am the one that kept you awake at night and made you thirsty during the day."
Excellent. So let's now go to. Hold on, take it easy.
You're trying to see that.
No, take it easy. This is why.
You're not seriously going to go to Google Translate, are you?
Nope.
Okay. I know you know Arabic. I know you know Arabic.
You don't have Arabic keyboard?
No. Okay.
I was just going to show you the takhrij. You know what takhrij is? Okay. The checking of the narration.
Okay.
This narration of Ibn Majah is a very weak narration.
They didn't grade it this week.
Can you show me their grading?
Yeah, it's in Hasan. It's in
You
Arabic now.
You just ruined his phone. You can't see anything in English
he'll
now.
Where does it say Hasan? No, this is Darussalam's grades, right? So this is not sunnah.com, just a website. Okay?
So Darussalam
is a publishing house, right? But that's not the grading.
Yeah, but they gave the rating according to Hadith scholars, right? They're not just making it up.
No. So we need to. I know this hadith, and that's why I was telling you, right? And I can show you the weakness in it if you like. Darussalam is a publishing house, not a scholar itself, right? Their grading by itself is not a hujjah, it's not an evidence. You have to look at the evidence from the scholars of hadith. That's what I'm saying? That's why I asked you, right? Now, if you like, and if you, how long are you going to send me?
Let me just
finish. How long are you going to send me?
We're leaving tonight.
I was going to invite you to my house. I have a Majah.
Man, I appreciate the fact that you would have invited
You got
us.
dinner, you got tea, I got you. Right? And I would sit with you and explain to you from the Sharh of Ibn Majah why this hadith is da'if. Because I teach Aqidah and I taught the subject.
Now, interestingly, in addition to the fact that the Darussalam version says Hasan, whereas Uthman kept saying da'if, weak, I was mentioning to Sam later this part of the conversation, and then Sam was pointing some things out to me.
Yes.
So
Darussalam publications, they're a Salafi publication, and unless the compiler himself, let's say Tirmidhi, states in the Hadith, the grading, he'll say Hasan, Gharib, it's good, it's strange, or Hasan, Sahih. They usually will follow the grading of Sheikh al-Albani. For the Christians who don't know, Sheikh al-Albani was considered by the Salafis, primarily, the greatest 20th century Hadith scholar. Now, those who are not Salafi don't really think that much of him because he's Salafi and his anthropomorphic ideas, but nonetheless, Uthman is Salafi and Darussalam is Salafi. So they give you a grading. That's a grading that, for the most part, they got from al-Albani. Now, to confirm the grading Hasan comes from al-Albani, I'm going to go to Islam Question and Answer. This is an online Salafi site. It's question 93151. 93151. Good deeds appear in the form of a man in the grave. They narrate this hadith. So let me read it, and then we'll go into to see what the grading is and where they got it from. Okay, here goes. It was narrated that Burayda said, I heard the Prophet say, the Quran will meet its companion on the day of resurrection when his grave is opened for him in the form of a pale man. This hadith you're referring to. It will say to him, do you recognize me? He will say, I do not recognize you. It will say, I am your companion, the Quran, who kept you thirsty on hot days and kept you awake at night. Every merchant benefits from his business, and today you will benefit from your good deeds. He will be given dominion in his right hand and eternity in his left, and there will be placed on his head a crown of dignity, and his parents will be clothed with priceless garments, the like of which have never been seen in this world. They will say, why have we been clothed with this? It will be said, because your son used to recite Qur'an. Then will be said to him, recite and ascend in the degrees of paradise, and he will continue to ascend so long as he recites, either at a fast pace or a slow pace. Now, narrated by Ahmad in Al-Musnad and in Ibn Majah in Al-Sunan. That's the one that David brought up, right? Classed as Hasan by Al-Bayhaqi, considered one of the greatest Muslim scholars of the past, in Al-Zawaid, and by Al-Albani and in Al-Silsila Al-Sahiha. So who graded it, Hasan? Al-Albani. So again, for those who don't know, typically, normally, when Darussalam give you a grading, they're getting it from Al-Albani. So just wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It seems to me that when Muslims are in a particular situation, and I've noticed this with quite a number of Muslims, sometimes they'll just say, the hadiths are not all valid. They won't necessarily say that particular hadith. They want to try and skate by, right, without making any specific statement. Just say some hadiths are weak and not trustworthy, so we just need to, right now in our discussion, focus on the Quran, right? So in my experience, it's kind of like anytime I want to use a hadith, it's automatically valid, right? We just accept it. Anytime you want to use a hadith to talk about Islam, oh, well, that might be a weak hadith or what have you. Well, in this particular conversation, it seems to me that Sheikh Uthman knew that on the spot we're not going to be able to pull up a bunch of stuff and show all these Islamic sources and scholars who classify this as a valid hadith. And so off the cuff is saying, it's weak, it's da'if, and so forth. But he knows, he's got to know, that we could later leave and then look up and see all the different scholars who have, in fact, given it a rating as Hasan or otherwise. And so, for what it's worth, he's wrong. The hadith is in the collections. It is given a sound rating. And I don't know of any, I don't recall him saying anything about any scholars who rated it da'if, in fact.
So the topic at hand is actually the single most divisive topic in Islamic theological history. As any student of Islamic theology is intimately aware, the one issue that is the most discussed issue in Islamic theology, and the one issue that divides the entire spectrum of Islamic sectarianism, is the issue of...
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention?
So, opinion 2 says that the action is evil and haram and bid'ah and munkar and a stepping stone to shirk, but it is not necessarily shirk in and of itself. And
both of them are right. How? I don't know. Don't try.
Because, as we know from the authentic hadith, rocks, they testify to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam being a prophet. Rocks, trees, they don't have lungs, they don't have tongues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the Qur'an will speak on the day of judgment, the skins will speak on the day of judgment. He is not restricted that they must have tongues and lungs and things. No. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it, we believe in it. And this is a very core principle of Aqidah. That when you want to know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, go back to the Qur'an, go back to the Sunnah, go back to the Ahadith, and whatever is clear in the Kalam of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, this is where you're safe.
I think that's just dumb.
Hadith before even he knew the hadith. Remember, he said there's no such a hadith, which means he never saw it, he never heard of it. And he said, then when they showed him the hadith, they said it's weak. Actually, before they saw him the hadith, he said it's weak.
It's in Arabic now.
You just ruined his phone. You can't see anything in English now.
Where does it say Hasan? No, this is Darussalam, right? So this is not Sunnah.com, just a website. Okay?
So Darussalam
is a publishing house, right? That's not the grading.
Yeah, but they give the grading according to Hadith scholars, right? They're not just making it up.
No. So we need to. I know this hadith, and that's why I was telling you, right? And I can show you the weakness in it if you like. Darussalam is a publishing house, not a scholar itself, right? Their grading by itself is not a hujjah. It's not.
Okay, let us go and get this guy busted. Remember, he said that he believed that the Hanbali are the right one. Didn't he say that? Hanbali? Well, this is the book of Ibn Hanbal, Musnad Ahmad ibn Hanbal. And this is the hadith in front of us. And here you ask yourself, if this hadith is rejected, how this guy is teaching them about Allah and about the Qur'an, saying that the Qur'an will come to you as a pale man? When those people, they say such a thing, read carefully. وإن القرآن يلقى صاحبه يوم القيامة حين ينشق عنه القبر أو قبره كالرجل الشاحب. This is the book of Ibn Hanbal, and he is using it to explain how the Quran will intercede. So how this coward, he says that he believed that the Hanbal is the true way of the Prophet, and this is Ibn Hanbal using the hadith to explain how the Quran will come and intercede. Remember, if this hadith is rejected or not valid, there's no way this guy will use it to explain. I mean, have you ever heard of a liar like this? So now if we click it, translate. Let us see if we can do Google translation. Let me copy the link first, and I will post it for you. And every Muslim can go there, and you will see that this is Musnad Ibn Hanbal, the one who he said, hadith number 22, hadith number, as you see on the screen, 22435. This is his master, who he belonged to his sect, as he claimed that Ibn Hanbal is the true way of Islam, saying that the Quran will come as a pale man and he will intercede for the person. The translation here is funny, you know, but we can use Google Translation separately, because I don't see a translation coming good here. I see hand or short lilas. What is that, man? But anyway, the Quran will come to you. I mean, translation is really coming horrible here. So let us do this. We will open Google Translation. We will copy the sentence. We will use individual text translation. Google Translate. We will copy and post and paste in Google in front of your eyes. Google is smart. Could not recognize the Arabic language. Here we go. The Quran will meet his companion, or the man, in the day of resurrection in his grave, and he will come to him as a pale man. You see it? And this is in the book of Musnad Ahmad ibn Hanbal, which he claimed that this is the true teaching of the Prophet of Allah. I mean, how we can explain the lies of those liars? Already you admitted that the Quran is not created. Already you admitted that the Quran was always with Allah. Already you admitted that the Quran exists by itself. And now you admitted that the Quran will intercede, but you are rejecting that he will come as a man. And when they show you the hadith, you say to us, it is da'if. Where is your reference? And why Ibn Hanbal is using it if it's a stupid hadith? Now, are we done? No. Let us get him more busted, and let me give you the link for the first one. This is the link for the first hadith. Let me post it for you. Oh, I did not post the link, sorry. This is the text. What a potato, man. What a coward. What a scam. Where is the link? All right, here we go. Let me pause the hadith for you. And actually, I have a different hadith from Ibn Hanbal too, and that one is even showing the grade of the hadith. Let us share that one. Hold on. Here we go. Let me put it in the screen. Let us get him more busted. This is Musnad ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and this is hadith number 22461. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يجيء القرآن يوم القيامة كالرجل الشاحب فيقول لصاحبه أنا الذي أسهرت ليلك وأظمأت هواجرك. The Quran will come in the judgment day as a pale man. Now what is the grade of this hadith? Hey Abdul, you claim that you speak Arabic. It says that a hadith like this is possible to be authentic and Hasan. فَمِثْلُهُ يَحْتَمِلُ حَدِيثَهُ التَّحْسِينَ أَمَّا التَّصْحِيحَ فَهُوَ بَعِيد. And then I will explain to you here what it means فَهُوَ بَعِيد, because the Muslims, they say, oh, it's not authentic. It says that. It says it is hadith, Hasan, and even possible to be authentic. And let us show you how we can prove that, because we are not done. This is the same hadith, and this is the official Islamic page in Facebook. As-Sunnah Nabawiyya wa Sahih al-Hadith. the authentic hadith. And here they are posting for you the Quran in both in English and in Arabic. And then they say here, the Rawi, the reporter of the hadith, is Abu Hurairah. And this can be found in a silsila sahiha, which means the chain of authentic. Page number or hadith number 2829. And here it says the grade of this hadith is Hasan or Sahih. So choose one. Let us go down and read the translation made by Muslims in English. The Quran comes in the day of resurrection like a pale man, says to his owner, do you know me? I was the one who stayed up at the night and the light of your wages, even if he was a dealer behind his trade. I mean, you can read the rest of the hadith. And here it says, the hadith like a pale man, his color is variable of his common body, whatever, etc. But here they are saying, the reporter is Abu Hurairah. The source is the book of Al-Albani. And then the page number or the hadith number is 2829. And the rank is Hasan or Sahih. Is what? Is Hasan or Sahih. Not Da'if or Da'if as this guy. And this guy, he said it's very weak. Not only he said it's weak, it's very, very, very weak. When Ibn Hanbal, he confirmed it. Al-Albani, he confirmed it. And remember, this is written in the book of Ibn Majah. And even at-Tirmidhi, he mention something similar to this, that the Quran will come to you. And by the way, the Quran will come. How the Quran come? Unless he is an individual. The Quran will come to you. Translate to English. The Messenger of Allah said that in the day of resurrection, the Quran comes the same as a pale man. The rest of the translation is funny. Are we done? No, we have even bigger surprise. This is the book of As-Silsila Sahiha by Al-Imam Al-Albani. This is the book name. This is the author name, very well-known funny scholar. Volume number 7. It says here, hadith number 2829, the Quran come as a pale man. What is the hadith? Sahih. Sahih. Let me post the link for all of you so you can save it and get this guy busted. And let us use Google Translation again. Remember, he said this is a very weak hadith. The Islamic scholar, they say this is very Sahih hadith. Which one of them we should trust? Even the book name is the correct authentic hadith, which means everything there is correct. So it is Sahih, hadith number 2829. The Quran will come in the day of the resurrection as a pale man. But this potato in the video, he denied it, and he said this is a weak hadith, very weak hadith. Not only it's a weak. Here we ask ourselves a very simple question. Are we going to find one day a decent Muslim who is proud to be a Muslim? He is not ashamed of what his prophet said, so he tried to lie in order to hide it? If the Muslim scholars say it is strong, it is sahih, why this guy is denying it? This is a different website, Al-Maktaba Al-Shamila, Islamic Library, the book of the explanation of the book Al-Jami' li-Ahkam al-Siyam. From the greatest of hadith, which the Prophet, he said, is this one, that the Quran will come in the image or the shape of a pale man. This is not only a great hadith, is one of the greatest. Which Muslim we should believe? Click translate to English.